Hey everyone, I'm back, and I do mean back, but back by high demand. Today we have another pop in your mouth recipe. We will be making some juicy grilled pork chops. Let's go ahead and clean our hands and get started. Now I have cleaned off my pork chops in some vinegar and salt water, and I'm going to start off by greasing them with a little bit of olive oil. This is just going to help distribute the seasonings inside of it a little bit better. And also it adds to making the pork chops juicy. I'm going to brush both sides. And then I'm going to go in with some of my seasoning. I hope you guys are ready for the holidays and having a great Friday. We're going to have some grilled pork chops tonight. And I've decided to have a little bit of mac and cheese with mine and maybe a little salad. We'll see. As you can see, these are some thick pork chops. So we're going to be seasoning them pretty heavily. I'm going to start with some Adobo seasoning. And I'm going to put a nice amount on here. But I'm not going to put too much on the other side because Adobo has a lot of salt in it. So you want to monitor that as well. Next, I'm going to go in with some ground black pepper. And if you don't like it too spicy, just sprinkle a little bit on there. I'm going to put a decent amount and lightly season the other side. Then I'm going to go in with some onion powder. Now, the onion powder can be optional because we're going to add some fresh onions in this as well. And then last, I'm going to add a lot of garlic powder. The key to this dish is definitely the garlic powder, so I'm going to go in very heavy on it. Now, one thing that I forgot to mention to you guys, before you start to oil your pork chops, make sure that you get all the water out of them. If they become waterlogged, it's going to be very hard for that oil to seep in because, oil and water don't mix. So make sure you take the time to really pat completely dry your pork chops and get all that excess water out. Now, I'm just doing the same thing on the other side. I'm brushing it down with some olive oil. And then I'm going to season it. This side, I'm not going to season as much. I'm not even going to do the Adobo seasoning because of the salt. I'm just going to do the ground black pepper, a little onion powder, and the garlic powder. But they're going to be sprinkled on here lightly. Since the other side is very heavily seasoned, this side we're only going to do a little bit. Have you guys ever grilled pork chops? Let me know in the comments section. Have you ever even thought about grilling your pork chops? I know the popular way to do it is to fry it or maybe bake it in one of those oven bags. So let me know if you've ever grilled pork chops before or thought about grilling them. And let me know how you do it. I love to get new advice on other ways on how to do different recipes. Okay guys, so after I finish seasoning, I'm going to let these sit out on the countertop for about 15 minutes. I want the oil and seasonings to get really incorporated into my pork chops before I just throw them in that hot oil and butter. I'm going to clean up and then I'll be right back. Okay, so while our pork chop is chilling out on the countertop, I'm going to go ahead and chop up some of my veggies. I will be using two types of onions. I have some green onions here that I'm going to dice up. And then I also have some white onions that are sliced, but I'm going to dice them down just a little bit more. Now, you can just use the white onion or you can use a red onion. Whichever you prefer. I like a strong onion taste with this recipe, so I decided to do the white. And then the green is pretty much going to be like almost a garnish. I'm not really going to toss these too much, but they're just going to go on top of my pork chops just for that little extra onion taste on top, but not too strong. All right, so I've gotten my onions chopped up. And this is the size that I decided to do my onions. Again, the white ones are just for the taste and the green are for garnishing. I'm going to go ahead and take my skillet and I'm going to go ahead and get that really hot. You want to make sure that your skillet is very hot so that it can melt your butter and it can sear these pork chops perfectly. So I'm going in with almost a full stick of butter. As you can see, I have 3 large pork chops, so you're going to need a lot of butter to get this cooking in to your pan. We're going to let this melt down, and then once it starts to melt down, we're going to go in and add our pork chops. I'll be right back. Okay guys, so our butter is almost fully melted. I'm going to go in and add my onions because onions take about a little bit to get caramelized. So we're going to go in and throw those in first and let it get into that butter. And then as you can see, my chilled, been sitting on the counter pork chops, they're nice and seasoned. The inside has been seasoned as well as they've been sitting. We're going to go ahead and we're just going to let them sit in here, space them out so that they can all have some room. And we're going to go ahead and sear that first side. Now, pork chops don't take long, so I don't advise you to kind of go away from far from the stove. On average, they take about maybe 10 to 15 minutes, depending on, how dark you want them cooked. So I'm going to go ahead and sear this side. Let them sit. Don't go in and bother them. I'm going to let them sear for about maybe 5 to 7 minutes. Check on them, and then we're going to come back and we're going to turn them over. If this is your first time to the party, welcome. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and click that notification bell so you can be notified every time the fun begins. Alright guys, so our pork chops have been cooking and we're going to go in and turn them over, and they're getting a nice brown color on them, and those onions have started to caramelize, so the sugars have been released into that butter mixture. And if you want, this mixture will be almost like a great little gravy sauce afterwards that you can also top off. So you don't have to throw it away. You can keep it and use it and throw it on top just like I'm doing here. Now I'm going to let these cook down just a little bit more. Once again, 5 to 7 minutes on this time. And then we're going to go in and we're going to check them again. And if they're ready, we're going to go ahead and take them out. And if they need a little bit of time, that's fine. We'll just turn them over, let them sit to keep cooking until they're done. I'll be right back. Alright, these are looking so good. The smell in here is amazing. Those onions and pork chops really smell good in here. I'm going to flip them over one more time, let them cook. And to make sure that they're cooked, if you want, you can take a thermometer and make sure they have a center of 165 degrees. And that'll let you know that your meat is fully cooked. Alright, our pork chops are done. Now I'm just taking them and I'm putting them on a baking rack so that the air can circulate and the excess oil can get off. Look at there, they're nice, brown, golden crusted around the edges, just like how I like them. We're going to let them sit for about a minute or two, and then we're going to plate them up, grab our macaroni and cheese, and go ahead and take a bite. Alright, there we go guys. We've plated up our recipe. Look at this dish. It looks gorgeous. It smells good. I topped it off with some of those green onions. Of course, you can leave that off or top it with parsley instead. And then we got the macaroni and cheese on the side. And I decided to just do it like this and keep it simple. No salad, no corn, nothing else. And we're going to go in. We're going to take a bite. We're going to cut into this. I'm going to let you see the inside and see how tender it is. Look at there. Nice. Smells so good. Let's go ahead and grab our fork and knife and cut into this thing. Let's see, which side do I want to cut in first? I guess we'll do this side. Look at there. Nice white meat. Cuts like butter almost. You see that, guys, there? That's what you want to see. And go ahead and let me know how it tastes. If you enjoyed this recipe, please give me a thumbs up. I thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video. That's good. That's really good.